So you want to launch your own crypto coin. It sounds like the closest thing to legal money printing that has ever existed. You invent a token out of thin air, you give it a name and a logo, and if enough people believe in it, that token can be worth millions or billions of dollars. No factory, no inventory, no product, no employees, just code and belief. On a platform like Pump.Fun, you can literally create your own coin in under a minute for less than 2 cents. And that is not an exaggeration, it's an understatement. Since it launched in early 2024, that single platform has generated over 13 million tokens, more than a third of every token on the entire Solana blockchain, and pulled in over $866 million in revenue just by taking a tiny fee on the trading. It became the fastest application in crypto history to reach $100 million in revenue. Now here's the number that should stop you cold before you launch anything. According to blockchain analytics firm Solidus Labs, roughly 98.6% of the tokens launched on that platform showed the on-chain behavior of a rug pull, a scheme where the creators pump the price and then dump their holdings, leaving everyone else with something worthless. 98.6%, which means launching a coin isn't like starting a business. Statistically, it's like buying a lottery ticket where the person selling you the ticket is also allowed to set the winning number after you've paid. By the end of this, you'll understand what a crypto coin actually is as a business, why the people who reliably make money are almost never the ones holding the coin, and why this is the only industry we've covered where the entire game can be won or lost in the first 15 minutes of existence. Because a crypto coin is not really a currency, and it's usually not really a technology either. It's a market, a live, 24/7 global casino floor, and when you launch a coin, you're not building a product, you're opening a betting venue and printing the chips. The value doesn't come from what the coin does. It comes almost entirely from other people's belief that someone after them will pay more, which means the entire asset is built out of one material, the expectation of a greater fool arriving next. Let's start with the machinery, because you can't understand the money until you understand how a coin physically comes into being. At its simplest, a token is just an entry in a shared database, a smart contract on a blockchain like Ethereum or Solana that says there are 1 billion of these and here's who owns them. Creating that entry is trivial and nearly free. The hard part, the only part that has ever mattered, is the second step, getting the coin to trade. A coin nobody can buy or sell has no price at all. And this is where the single most important concept in the entire industry lives, liquidity. For a coin to have a price, there has to be a pool of real money sitting on an exchange, paired against your token, that people can trade in and out of. On a decentralized exchange, someone deposits, say, your token plus an equal value of a real asset like Solana into a liquidity pool, and that pool is what lets anyone buy or sell. The price is just the ratio inside that pool. Here's the part that matters. Whoever controls that pool of real money controls the entire coin. If the creator holds the keys to the liquidity and pulls the real money out, every holder's token instantly becomes worth exactly zero. That single action, removing the liquidity, is the classic rug pull, and it can happen in one transaction, in 1 second. So how does a coin actually make money for the person who launches it? There are broadly 2 business models, and it's crucial to understand which one you're really running. The first is the memecoin model, pure speculation with no pretense of building anything. This is the Pump.Fun world. It runs on something called a bonding curve, which is a clever piece of math. The coin's price is set automatically by a formula, rising a little with every purchase and falling with every sale. So there's always a price and always liquidity, no negotiation required. Early buyers get the lowest prices. Later buyers push the price up for everyone who came before. Once enough has been bought, around $69,000 of market value on that platform, the coin graduates to a bigger exchange and roughly $12,000 of liquidity gets deposited automatically. The platform takes a 1% fee on every single trade, in both directions, forever. Read that again, because it's the whole secret. The platform doesn't care if your coin goes up or down. It doesn't care if you get rich or wiped out. It earns its cut on the buying and on the selling, on the volume, on the churn, on the mania itself. The house doesn't bet. The house rents the table. But between launch the coin and make money sits the hardest part. And it's the same brutal wall we hit with the clothing brand, attention. A coin with no audience is just a dead entry in a database. So the real work of launching a token isn't technical at all. It's manufacturing a crowd. That means a swarm of coordinated posts on X and Telegram, paid influencer shills, an army of bots to make the community look bigger than it is, and a narrative catchy enough to make strangers feel they're early to something huge. Millions of tokens compete for the same fleeting scroll of attention, and the overwhelming majority get zero. This is why so many coins are engineered around a single viral moment, a celebrity, a meme, a live stream, because in this business you don't get a slow build. You get one spike of attention, and either you convert it into buying pressure in the first few minutes, or the coin is dead on arrival. It's the clothing brand's acquisition problem, compressed into a single afternoon, with none of the second chances. The second is the utility token model, the one that wears a suit. Here the coin comes attached to an actual project, a new blockchain, a lending protocol, a game, some piece of software that supposedly needs its own token to function. This version raises real money from venture capital firms before the public ever sees it, and it's built on a structure that has quietly transferred billions from retail buyers to insiders. It's called low float, high FDV, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's how it works. FDV means fully diluted valuation, the price of the coin multiplied by every token that will ever exist. Float means the percentage of those tokens actually available to trade on day one. In 2024, according to Binance Research, the median new token launched with just 12.3% of its supply circulating, which means, on average, 87.7% of the coins were locked up, held by the team, the early investors, and the venture funds, scheduled to be released gradually over the following years. Now watch what that tiny float does. With only a sliver of supply trading, even modest buying sends the price rocketing, which makes the fully diluted valuation look enormous, a $10 billion project, which pulls in more excited buyers. But every one of those locked tokens is a future sell order with a date on it. As each unlock arrives, insiders who bought in for fractions of a cent can sell into the public at full price. Traders can see the unlock calendar in advance, so they sell before it, which pushes the price down before the insiders even move. The result, documented across the entire 2024-2025 cycle, is tokens that launch at a spectacular valuation and then bleed downward for years, no matter how good the underlying project is, because the structure itself is a slow-motion transfer from the public to the people who got in early. And this isn't a niche problem, it's an ocean of scheduled selling. Analysts have tracked upcoming token unlocks running into the tens of billions of dollars of new supply hitting the market over the coming years. One estimate put a single wave of pending unlocks near $97 billion. That's $97 billion of tokens bought by insiders at private round prices contractually scheduled to be sold to whoever's still holding. When people wonder why so many serious crypto projects only go down, this is the machine underneath it. The chart isn't reflecting the technology. It's reflecting a release schedule. So who actually makes money in this business? Almost never the person holding the coin. Follow the cash, exactly like we did with the clothing brand, and the pattern is brutal. The launchpad takes its 1% on every trade. The exchange that lists the coin often charges a listing fee that, for a spot on a major platform, has been reported in the millions of dollars, plus a chunk of the token supply for itself. Then there are the market makers, firms paid to stand in the market and provide liquidity, often compensated with large allocations of the token and options to buy more. The venture funds got their tokens at a private price, a fraction of what the public pays. The influencers get paid a flat fee, in cash or coins, to promote the launch regardless of what happens next. Every one of these players extracts value on the way in, gets paid whether the coin succeeds or fails, and is structurally ahead of the ordinary buyer. The retail holder, the person who saw the tweet and aped in, sits at the very bottom of the waterfall, buying the supply that everyone above them is selling. And nothing shows this more clearly than what happens when a celebrity gets involved. In late 2024, the viral internet personality known as the Hawk Tua Girl launched a token called HAOM8. It rocketed to a market cap of around $490 million in under 15 minutes and then crashed 93% almost immediately. A federal class action lawsuit later alleged the token was designed to crash within minutes, letting insiders unload during the launch frenzy while ordinary buyers were left holding worthless coins. She was reportedly paid up to $325,000 to promote it and later called the whole thing her biggest mistake. Then it went to the very top of power. In February 2025, the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, posted a link to a token called Libra, describing it as a project to help fund small Argentine businesses. Within hours, the market cap blew past $4.4 billion. Then insiders began cashing out. Blockchain analysts traced 8 wallets tied to the creator team, removing around $99 million of liquidity from the pool. And the instant that real money left, the price collapsed. When the dust settled, on-chain analysis showed that roughly 86% of traders lost money, with total losses around $251 million, while a tiny cluster of insiders walked away with a fortune, some of them buying and selling within 43 minutes of launch. A sitting head of state had, knowingly or not, been the marketing department for one of the largest crypto extractions in history. And earlier that same year, a token carrying President Trump's own branding launched and tanked days later, with forensic analysts noting the same on-chain fingerprints across all of them. So far, this sounds like nothing but a machine for taking money from the naive. Now the harder truth, because it isn't all fraud, and pretending it is would be its own kind of lie. A very small number of crypto coins are genuine, valuable, world-changing pieces of financial infrastructure. Bitcoin created the entire idea of a scarce, decentralized digital asset that no government controls, and it did it with no company, no CEO, and no marketing budget. Ethereum built a global computer that lets people transact without a bank in the middle. These networks solved real problems, earned real trust over more than a decade, and are worth what they're worth because millions of people independently decided they were useful. But notice what separates them from the 98.6%, time, and the absence of a single owner pulling the strings. The coins that lasted are the ones nobody could rug because nobody controlled the liquidity or held a secret pile of cheap tokens waiting to unlock. The very thing that makes a coin a good investment, decentralization, no insider control, is the exact thing that makes it a terrible get-rich-quick scheme for its creator. You cannot both build something trustworthy and quietly own the exit at the same time. And almost everyone launching a coin wants to own the exit, which brings us to the regulatory guillotine hanging over the entire business. For years, the legal status of most tokens was a gray zone. That gray zone is closing fast. Regulators increasingly argue that many of these coins are unregistered securities, investment contracts sold to the public without any of the disclosures a stock would require. The Hawk lawsuit is built on exactly that, violations of the Securities Act for selling unregistered securities across state lines. The Libra scandal triggered criminal probes and impeachment calls against a president. Class action law firms now run blockchain forensics as a business model, tracing insider wallets across multiple failed tokens and suing everyone attached. So the legal risk isn't theoretical or far away. It's a live wire. The same transparency that makes a blockchain powerful means every rug pull is permanently recorded on a public ledger with timestamps waiting for a prosecutor. You are committing your scheme to the most detailed evidence file ever created and signing it with a wallet address. There's one more force that makes this business more dangerous than any other we've covered. It never closes, and it moves at a speed no human can match. A restaurant has closing hours. A stock market shuts at night and on weekends. A crypto coin trades every second of every day, globally, with no circuit breakers and no one to call. A coin can lose 90% of its value while you sleep. Layer on the fact that much of this trading happens with borrowed money, leverage of 10, 50, even 100 times, and a tiny price move can wipe out a trader completely in seconds, triggering a cascade of forced selling that drives the price down further, liquidating the next person and the next. The same mechanics that can 100x a coin overnight can vaporize it just as fast, and the owner of the coin has no more control over that stampede than a single gambler has over a casino floor. You built the table, but once the betting starts, the crowd owns the outcome. So let's add it all up and answer the real question. What do you actually make if you launch a coin? In the fantasy scenario, you launch a memecoin, it catches a wave of attention, it graduates, the volume explodes, and if you were an early holder, you sell into the frenzy for a life-changing sum. This does happen. A tiny number of people have made millions in a weekend. It is real, and it is exactly as real as the person who wins the actual lottery. A genuine outcome that says almost nothing about your odds of repeating it. For every fart coin that hit hundreds of millions, there are hundreds of thousands of tokens worth nothing within a day. In the realistic scenario, one of two things happens. Either you launch honestly, Discover that a coin with no owner-controlled exit is almost impossible to get rich from quickly, and watch it fade into the 98.6% that quietly die. Or you build in the exit, you keep control of the liquidity or a hidden pile of cheap tokens, and now you are no longer an entrepreneur. You're running a scheme that is recorded forever on a public ledger that a class action firm can reconstruct in an afternoon, and that regulators are increasingly treating as straightforward securities fraud. The coin that made you rich in 15 minutes becomes the evidence that follows you for years. That's the real economics of owning a crypto coin. The technology is nearly free. The launch takes a minute. But the value was never in the coin. It was in the belief of the next buyer, and belief is the most volatile commodity on earth. When it's flowing toward you, you look like a genius who created wealth out of nothing. And when it stops, which for 98.6% of coins is almost immediately, everyone discovers there was never anything underneath it at all. Just code, a logo, and a line of people who all assumed someone behind them would keep believing. So if you ever do decide to launch a crypto coin, understand exactly what you're building. Not money, not usually technology. You're building a casino, printing the chips, and inviting the world to bet. And the only reliable way to guarantee your own winnings is to rig the table, which is the one move that turns your fortune into a permanent public confession. The house always wins. But in this business, being the house is the fastest way to end up in front of a judge. And if you've caught the pattern by now, a business where the thing you think you're selling is really just a claim on other people's belief, you've seen it before on this channel. Watch the one on owning a clothing brand next, where the hoodie was never the business and the audience always was. Then the one on owning an offshore oil rig, where the machine looks like the fortune but a number you can't control is the whole story. It's the same trap wearing a different building every time.